Hello, my YouTube viewers. Crystal here. What I wanted to do is I wanted to give you a code review for analytics time series forecasting on Jetrail. Basically, what happened was I decided that I was going to enter this competition on predicting the future numbers or predicting future sales. And I thought that what I thought I would do is I thought that I would use some models that I previously had on hand, and I didn't realize it was going to be such a complicated case. And so I studied time series analysis for a few weeks, and basically I hit a brick wall and I couldn't get any farther on it. So I did a search on it, and then I found on Kaggle, and as you can see, Kaggle, this is the website that I went to right here, and someone had done the time series analysis, but he'd called it a different name with the same files and everything. So I can't claim it as being my own work, because I had to look at somebody else's work just to solve the problem, which is why I have to do a code review. But it's on Kaggle, and it's on this web address if you want to look at it. But what I will say is he did have some mistakes, and what he did was he based his program on an article that I had read about 7 easy ways to time series analysis. But one of the problems that we have with all of these time series analysis, they only teach you how to predict time on existing data. They don't give you any advice on how to predict on data that you don't already, data that's not available, which is if you enter a Kaggle website or you enter a Analytics Fajita website, then that's what you have to do. You get given a training file where you're supposed to do your training, and then you get given a test file where you're supposed to test on it, but they don't give you instructions on how to incorporate that test file into the training, which is where I had the most problems, and which is why I had to look on other people's work to see how to do that. So what I'm going to do now is take you section by section on this code review of this person who I had to use his work on Kaggle just to be able to complete the assignment on Analytics Fajita. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to import your models. So I've imported my models right here. And the second thing you want to do is you want to load your training set. So I've loaded my training set. And then I've got a picture of what the training set looks like. It's 18 to 88 columns, no rows with 3 columns. And then I've described my training set. Then the next thing you want to do is you want to load your test set. So I've loaded my test set, and the test set is similar to the training set, except it doesn't have a count column. And that's what you have to do. You have to put all of the count variables into this test set to make your submission. And the next thing I did was I loaded a sample submission. So this sample submission gives you an idea of what you have to do. And what I will say is the person who put together this program, when they made the submission, they did not delete the index. And so because the index wasn't deleted, I had problems loading the files onto Analytics Fajita. So I had to go onto the internet and find out how to delete the index column, which I did. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to make copies of the data sets. And that's this code right here. And they also want to see the shape of the training set and the test set. And they I decided I wanted to see what the train original looked like, and it's the same as the train. And I decided I wanted to see what the test original looks like, and it's the same as the test. I decided I wanted to see what information is in the training set, and you can see there. And I wanted to see what information is in the test set, and you can see there. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to extract the date and time. And so you have the formulas on how to extract the date and time. And so I wanted to see the train original just to see what it looked like when you extracted the date and time. And I wanted to see the test original to see what it looked like when you extract the date and time. Okay, so now what we have is we have a for loop. And this for loop sets up your year, month, day, and hour, because that's going to be used to determine the future prices. And then I've got a picture so you can see what the train set looks like and what the test set looks like. And the next thing we're going to do is you're going to extract the date of the week from the train file. And that's this formula here that does that. And then so I'll set up the train file so you can see what the train file looks like. And I set up the temp file as well so you can see what the temp file looks like. And the temp file is just your date time. The next thing that you want to do is you want to define an array, and then so you define a module. So that's the module, and what that does is that sets it up being the weekend. So Monday is a 0, Tuesday's a 1, Wednesday's a 2, Thursday's a 3, Friday's a 4, and 5 and 6 are Saturday and Sunday. So that just sets it up for the weekend. And then so what we wanted to do is we wanted to look at train weekend to see, and that tells you whether it's a weekend or not. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to plot a lot of this data. And so here's the code to plot the data, and this is the time series plot. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do an exploratory data analysis. And so what we wanted to do is we wanted to look at TS, see what TS looks like. Now we want to see the data frame DF to see what the data frame looks like. You can see it's very complex what this person did. He did a very, he went into great detail. And then so now what he did was he set up a different way of plotting. So you can see then he's got a new plotting mechanism. So, and what he's done here is he's grouped the passengers by year, and he's plotted that. So the next thing he's done is he's grouped the passengers by month, and he's plotted that. So the next thing he's done is he's grouped the passengers by year and month, and he's plotted that. And then the next thing he's done is he's plotted a graph on the days of the month. So the next thing he's done is he's plotted a graph for the hours of the day. So you can see he went into a lot of detail to make all of these graphs and everything. The next thing he's done is he's plotted a graph to see which passengers traveled on the weekend. He's plotted a graph to see which passengers traveled on the day of the week. So what he's done is he's dropped the ID column from the train file. And so he's done something about a timestamp. So he set up a timestamp for the files, for the train file. Next thing he's done is he's plotted another graph on hourly, daily, weekly, and monthly. So you can have a look at that. And the next thing he's done is he wanted to see the shape of the two files. So you can see the shape of the train and the test. He set date parameters here. He set some date parameters. And so we want to see what the test file looks like. And then he set up a timestamp for the train file. So we want to see what the train file looks like. So he's done some more work. He done some more setups to carry out this test. So now we're going to see again what the train file looks like, and we're going to see what valid looks like, because he's made a new file called valid. So train is August 25th, 2012 to June 24th, 2014, and valid is June 25th, 2014 to September 25th, 2014. So you can see what the train looks like and the valid looks like. So he's basically has split the training file into two. So he sets some parameters so he can make another chart so you can see the train and the valid. So the valid is the part that he was testing on. So now what he's done is he's done this naive approach. And I've seen this when I read that article, 7 Simple Time Series Analyses. But what they didn't do was they didn't give you instructions on how to deal with the test file, which is what I needed to know, was how to deal with the test file. So this is a naive approach, and he plotted the graph. And so your valid is like the testing side. And so he's calculated the root mean squared, which is 111.79. The next thing he's done is he's done the moving average, which again is just a lot of code for the moving average. And he's plotted a graph for the moving average. The next thing he's done is he's calculated the root mean square, which is 144.19. And now what he's done is he's done a simple exponential moving, and he's calculated a graph on that. Calculated the root mean square for that, which is 113.437. Now he's gone in and he's imported the stats model. So he's done some more graphs on the stats model and something about AD Fuller. Okay, so the next thing that he's done is he's done the Holt's linear trend model. So I could be related to the person who did that because my mother's maiden name is Holt. And so he's plotted another graph, and you can see the graph he's plotted. And he's calculated the root mean square, which is 112.94. So he's calculated the y-hat average for the Holt linear model. And basically what your y-hat is that something to do with time series. And it's a y with a little hat on top of it, and that's why they call it y-hat. So now what he wants to do is he wants to see the shape of the valid file and the shape of the y-hat file, and both of them are 93 rows with 0 columns. So now what he's done is he's got the test file prediction. So he set up a prediction of the test file. So this test file is 213 rows by 6 columns. So that's just really and now what he's doing is he is calculating a bunch of ratios for this Holt method. And then during that time, he creates a temp file. And you can see the temp file he's created. And he created a temp2 file. And you can see the temp2 file that he's created. So the next thing that he's done is he's dropped all of these columns. So he's dropped IDX day, IDY, prediction hour ratio, and he's going to convert that into a submission. And this submission is 5112 rows by 2 columns. So that's what he's going to do. So you can see the submission shape is 5112, and you can see the test file is 213 rows, 6 columns. And you can see the test shape, 213 by 6. You can see y-hat average and shape. You can see prediction, which is 5112 rows. So the next thing they're going to do is they're going to do the Holt winter model. And he's plotting that in a graph, and you can see the graph that he has plotted. He's calculated the root mean square, which is 82.375. And he's calculated the predict equals fit1.forecast lin test. And then so he's calculating his predictions, and then he's setting that up to go in a submission file. And then the submission is 5112 rows. So it's all quite complex. The next thing he's going to do is he's going to set up the ARIMA module, and this is all the calculations for the ARIMA module. And then he puts it on a graph, and you can see how he has plotted it on a graph. So you've got the original, the rolling mean, and the rolling standard. And so he's going to remove the trend, and he's plotted another graph. And then he's plotted another graph for rolling mean, standard, and deviation. doing some more things with the training. He's plotting the difference. So the next thing he does is he removes the seasonality, and this is the code to remove seasonality. And he's plotted a graph. So you've got the original and then the trend. And he's got some more code. So the next thing you have is you have your rolling mean and standard deviation. So he's plotted that again. And he's got ACF and PACF. And he's plotted those in a graph as well. So we've got the ARIMA, and he's plotted that in a graph so you can see what he's plotted. So he started doing his predictions and plotted that in a graph so you can see what's valid. So your valid was your test file, and then you got your predict. Then you got your MA model. So he's calculated that and put that in a graph. Made predictions, and he's calculated that and put that in a graph. And what we have is we have the combined model. So he's calculated that, put that in a graph. So now he's going to check the predictions. And he's going to plot that in a graph, and he's going to check the predictions with some more code. And so there's your graph where he's got his predictions and his given set. So now we've got the Ceramax model on a daily time series, and he's put that in a graph. So you've got your training data, your valid data, and your Ceramax. And he's got his RMS, that's root mean squared, which is 69.885. And so he's taken all that information and he's put it in a submission file. So this is his submission, which is 512 rows by 2 columns. And I tried to submit that to Analytics, Vahida, and it wouldn't accept it because it wouldn't accept the index column. So I had to put this code called index equals false in all three of the lines of code where he was setting up a submission file. So what he did was he set it up to where you could have several submissions. So if you look here, because I'm using Google Colab, and if you look on Google Colab, I'm just trying to find it. Sorry, it's taking me so long. It might not allow me to do it because you know I'm online. But you're supposed to, it says connecting to a runtime to enable file browsing. So it's trying to connect. It says unable to connect to runtime. So what I'll do is I'll run it. So I'm running it. So it worked today at 4:30 at 16:39. So I'll run it. And then once I run it, hopefully it'll be okay. It was okay today at 16:39. It says unable to connect to runtime. It looks like it's doing something. So yeah, we've got our sample data. It's being awkward, like when I want to make a video, it's being awkward. So yeah, when I want to make a video, it's awkward.
I see. Yeah.
So we're just I apologize for this. It worked today. It was working today. Ah, great. It's working. So you can see it's working. Okay. You can see it's really long file. Said it was disconnected. I don't know what happened, but you did see it. It says runtime disconnected. I'll try to run it again because it's a bit difficult. Because you could see that it was running. You could see that it was running. So it saved all the changes. It's working. And today it's 6:39. And there's your submission. So we're just trying to wait for it to run. And I haven't got my phone on me. My phone's in the other room. My phone's where I've got the internet connection. Let's try it again because my phone's in the other room, so it's a bit difficult for me at the moment. If I had my phone in here, we would have a stronger internet connection. Hold on a second, I'll go get my phone. Okay, so I've got my phone in here, so hopefully we'll have a better connection, which will enable it to run. I do apologize for this. This is one of the problems when you're making a video, that it never turns out the way you think it's going to turn out. So it's mounting the Google Drive. We've got more internet connection than we had before because my phone was in the other room. So hopefully it'll work. You can see that it has worked. You can see all of the files that it has created. And this is on Google Colab. So it definitely was working at 1639 today. You can see it's coming. And you can see, here we go. Here's the channel. File was created, and these are all the files that were created with that program, grouped by Halt Linear, Halt Winters, and Ceramax. So that concludes it for this presentation. I'm sorry about the little glitch that we had in the system, and I couldn't get it to work because I had my phone in the other room. And as soon as I brought my phone in next to my computer, it started working okay because I get my connection from my phone. And what I'd like to say is, if you like my video, please like, subscribe, and share, and let me know what you think. And if you support the work that I'm doing, if you want to make a donation, I've got my email address down below where you can make a PayPal donation if you like. And I will see you next video. Bye.